Hi guys, I just wanted to say I made this comic in Integrated Fine Arts, and this was in November of last year. So I hope you guys enjoy this little comic that I made. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Yep. The mermaid with half her hair. The beautiful princess you're looking at right now, her name is Vanity, and she's the princess of all the ocean. Princess Vanity loved her hair so much, all she would be doing is looking in the mirror for hours admiring her hair. She wasn't a very nice princess. She had her mother and father at her feet, like as if they were under a spell. Princess Vanity didn't share her wealth and fortune, she kept it all to herself. All the poor mermaids were hungry and scared. They didn't know what to do. This one mermaid named Jo was fed up on keeping his mouth shut. No one was allowed to talk about God in all the ocean, or you would be put in prison, or even worse, put to death. All the mermaids were to worship Princess Vanity. He had an urgent feeling inside of his heart, and he couldn't hold it in much longer. Jo said, "Why don't we ask the great God to help us?" They had nothing else but themselves out there. One mermaid whispered to Jo, "No, we can't. We must not talk about God." And another mermaid whispered, "Yes, we have nothing out here. We need help." Jo was scared at first, but then he looked at his hungry family. Jo said he would go to the top of the tallest mountain to pray for the great God to help the poor mermaids. One of Princess Vanity's guards overheard Jo and grabbed him, put him in chains, and brought him to the prison, or possibly put to death. What neither Jo, the guard, nor Princess Vanity knew that the great God had been listening this whole time. Princess Vanity found out about Jo being put in jail, and she wanted him to be put to death at the Grand Arena in 2 days' time. Jo was frightened and scared. He was worried about his family. Just a few hours later, he felt in his heart to pray to the great God. "I am not alone, as long as I am praying to you to protect my family, God," Jo said. Princess Vanity had fallen asleep that night. The great God gave her a terrible dream. The great God said to her, "I must take half your hair for all the wrong that you've done. Your hair will not grow back until you worship me, for I am the great God. You will give back to the kingdom and the poor mermaids." She awoke scared with bloodshot eyes and fell onto the floor from her bed where she was sleeping. She glanced in the mirror, turned on her lamp. She screamed out of the top of her lungs in terror, and a bit of agony while she was touching the bald side of her head. She started to cry and think about that great God had said to her. She fell onto her knees and screamed out, "Please, forgive me for what I have become. I will worship you and share my wealth and fortune." The next morning, she ran down to her guards and told them, "Get every mermaid, rich or poor. I would like to make an announcement at 12:30 p.m. at the Grand Arena." The great God had told Princess Vanity to not forget Jo. "Don't forget Jo, the mermaid in jail. He is very important." Jo cried himself to sleep that night. He had awoken from the guards. They grabbed his dangly arms and cuffed his hands, brought him to the princess. By the time every mermaid had arrived, Jo was on his way to the stage where all the crowd will be watching, also where the Princess Vanity would be speaking. All Jo thought about was his family. He really appreciated them dearly. He teared up when he saw them in the crowd. Jo's family was crying and telling Jo that they loved him. Princess Vanity had finally made it on stage. Everyone was stunned to see that half her hair was gone. They laughed at how awful she looked, but Princess Vanity said, "Laugh all you want. I don't deserve this. I'm not here for myself, but for the great God and Jo." Everyone went silent. Jo lifted his head toward her. His green eyes were full of water and a tear fell down his cheek. "I just wanted to say that the great God is real, and from now on you shall all worship him, and not me. That's right. Jo was brave to fight for what he believed in. I'm a terrible person. I don't deserve this crown," the princess said. As she took off the crown off her head, the crowd was shocked. She walked towards Joe and she put the crown on top of his head. The guards removed his chains. Joe didn't know what to say. "You're the prince of all the ocean now, Joe, and I no longer want to be the princess," the princess said. Joe was speechless. "I don't want my name to be Vanity anymore. Prince Joe, will you name me?" Joe thought and looked up in the sky. He saw a name in the clouds. "Yes, your new name is Misconsiderate," Prince Joe said as he smiled. "Thank you, Joe." Prince Joe, I should say, Misconsiderate said. Misconsiderate's hair started to grow, but just an inch. She was appreciative to the great God. "I would love to be your prince. All mermaids will be free. All will have equal rights to speak. You will never be poor. We will unite as one and love each other in peace," Prince Joe said. "I'm grateful to God that now my family are going to be safe and protected," Prince Joe said. Everyone was clapping, crying, and they were all happy for Prince Joe. Misconsiderate's hair finally grew out and is now working as a maid for Prince Joe. His family are now eating full-course meals and are sleeping in the most comfortable beds in the ocean. All the mermaids lived happily ever after. The end.